Greetings all, peace. Yes, I've been a little MIA. I said, and I feel like I have been in the Neptune and Jupiter, Pisces, and them as there. Ups, downs, lefts, rights, a lot are going down. But today we are here to do the full moon discussion, which happened on the 12th or the 13th of the third Gregorian calendar month, which is March, you may know it as. And yes, Virgo is in the full moon phase. Just a reminder as always that the full moon is all about releasing, letting go, and forgiving, moving forward, moving past, moving on from things that's just not conducive in your life. You get this chance every month to shake some things off, like let go of some of the baggage, pack light, as Mr. Badu says. So the mostly kind of effective aspects with this full moon is Mercury being in Pisces, okay, and Saturn and Mercury squaring up. And also we have this aspect of the wounded warrior, Chiron is known as. And the main consensus I get is that communication is key, and we have to communicate the finer details to be able to move on from past issues. Yes, and Saturn is there making sure that we are looking at the finer details, so we're not going to be allowed to make the same mistakes again. Like this time with Virgo being in play is a time for organization and being a bit nitpicky, you know the word, nitpicky. I don't know if that's the word, but when you're just like you're looking at every last inch, edge of detail, the fine details of everything, like you're almost scrutinizing everything, like especially when it comes to your past issues, things that you are trying to rejuvenate yourself from, like shake off whatever it is. Like make sure you're realizing exactly, oh, I see a money spider. Make sure you know exactly what you're trying to move on from, so then you know exactly what not to get back into. Because sometimes it's very easy for us to be like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, okay, cool. But then we forget to look at the steps, or we forget to retrace the steps to see how we got into the space where we didn't want to be in the first place, Because sometimes, just little things can add up to these things. So, be mindful of that this full moon phase is calling on us to look at things in fine detail, and oh, very good. 33.
Yeah, 33.
See, that's a very good line. Very good drawing. Excuse me. Yes, and I'm gonna finish the recording and I'm gonna come help you with the rest of it. Okay. Alright. So what else? Okay, so the healing herb, essential oil, plant, bark, flower. In this case, it's a herb or shrub that you could use is tea tree. Tea tree is a good one for the month. And when you're dealing with Virgo, Virgo is all about health. Even though most Virgos I know don't really deal that much with health, but one of my children are Virgo moon signs, and I realized that the moon sign is closely relating to your mother's kind of energy before, after, and during conception. So it's like, and I remember the time when I was pregnant and thereafter, I was all about health. I was finding out as much as I could about health. So yeah, so if you ever check your moon sign, check that. That'll give you an insight into the kind of energy that your mother would have had, and the soul sign or the sun sign, and the moon again is sin. I'm still trying to get used to that. but the soul sign will represent what the energy was your father was, kind of portraying or exploring or dwelling, whatever the case may be. Okay, so again, that tea tree is the one, and the ailments to work on is the intestines or stomach area and nervous system. Yeah, so the nervous system is very, very important for a lot of us, because it's very easy for us to kind of fall off track onto our internal body. Like, we easily kind of do all the physical fleshy stuff, but we forget that the physical inner fleshy stuff matters too. And I was just talking to the children's father yesterday, and we were saying, like, once you change up your diets, in regards to Virgo and health and dietary being a main focus, like, you have to make sure you're implementing the right things, because it's very easy for us to say, okay, I'm going to cut out meat, I'm going to cut out this, and I'm going to cut out that, but then you're not replacing yourself with the right nutrients. Because yes, the meat is taxing on our bodies, really, because as much as it can be digestible, it takes a very much longer time to digest, and it's not really the best, most conducive, like, thing for us to eat. The lighter we eat, the better, and the quicker the food can be, digested, broken down, and then the body can take the nutrients it needs from these things, or the body can actually replenish itself with the nutrients it needs with the aid of these things that you put in your mouth. But your body's doing a lot of other works, a lot of other works, and if it's just always having to be consumed with having to deal with your food intake, like, no wonder we have so many cancers and tumors and all kinds of things, because we're not really thinking about the fact that the body's doing more than just having to break down the food. But if you're having food that's taking so long, so much energy to break down, then it makes it a little bit, it's longer, it's extra, it's taxing. So sorry about my health, friend. That was like one of my first doors open to say consciousness, or the woke state, or whatever. It was about health. It was about health and how we're treating our bodies and what we need, not just what we want. Okay, so let me not go off on the channel. I do have my notes today. The full moon would have been approximately 22 degrees. Okay, and the good crystals to use: amber, moonstone always. Full, because we're working with the moon, or thin, and also because it's the full moon, and moonstone is an emotional. It kind of balances. It's a very good stone for men as well. Excellent stone for women, of course, but it's also very good for men too, and just to balance things out. Okay, so we said moonstone, amber, magnetite, which is good for that intellectual kind of way of dealing with things. Magnetite is actually very good for teeth too. But yes, what else? Okay, I'm looking around because I'm trying to think about what it is I wanted to say, but I also have my notes just in case. But I do like to try to recollect things through my mind rather than always having to go for the notes. But the notes are there, don't get me twisted. Yeah. Yeah, so Chiron's talking about you need to check on your past wounds that may still be plaguing you, and this is perfect opportune time to kind of like really figure out why it plagued you so. Why did you allow these emotions to run so high? And make sure it doesn't happen again, and making sure it's being very specific about how it went down the first time, and so you know what to not to get into the next time. Carnelian too. Okay. And peridot. It's a green stone, so it's good for the heart chakra. And it's found in, it's usually very small little pieces, but it's so, every time I put it in my hand, I just feel so full of life, I feel happy. It's a joyous stone too. Yeah, so my notes, a quick summary says here: heal by looking at the finer details. Be pernickity about things. Be particular about your dreams. Be particular about the dreams you're trying to attain, and it's the best time for you, obviously, to be releasing what's no longer conducive in your life, and bring in what is conducive in your life. At least you can prepare for it better once you can release what is not supposed to be there, you know? Yes. I think that is all I've got for the synology, monologue. And yes, again, I have been MIA. I know I'm planning to do all the readings coming up very shortly. You definitely catch them before the end of the month. And so I'm letting the monthly pass, and it's already halfway past. But you know, not to worry. The energies could run. It usually does run before, after, during. Like, you know, it's not always set to the month. So don't worry about nothing. That's one of the things for this month as well as for me. It's like, don't worry. Virgos have a tendency to kind of worry a little bit, and Pisces have a tendency to be too worried about other bloody chemtrails. I hate seeing these things, you know. Too worried about the servicing others, servicing humanity, and that's all well and good. Again, I was talking to the children's father, and I was saying self-preservation is key. Because as much as you want to look for others, you know that you can only do that for so long if you're not taking care of yourself as well. Or if you're wanting or thinking that as long as I'm taking care of others, others will take care of me. No, you cannot rely on that. That's a very, very, very non-conducive way of thinking. That's right. We have to take care of ourselves first. We must take care of ourselves first. That's why I'm an advocate for two things. First of all, prevention is better than cure, and love thyself first, know thyself wholly or holistically. That means spirit, mind, body, emotional, mental, all of that. Yes, and knowing thyself takes time. We get to know ourselves from the cradle to the grave, you know. So it's not a matter of, well, okay, I'm 50, I'm done. You continue until you're no longer able to, you know. And the last thing, love thyself first, know thyself holistically, and be thy unique higher self. And this is really important one, because everybody, you know, people like to think they're just being unique, they're not following nothing, but we are led like sheeps to the flock, or whatever it's called, the saying. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're following programs that's been set for us. We're thinking we're doing things out of choice, out of will, but it's actually something that's been implemented, a seed that's been planted, and we haven't even realized. Again, prevention is better than cure, and knowing thyself, loving thyself, knowing thyself, and being thy unique self. It's not just being my unique self. It's not I'm just going to be different, I'm just going to go wow, and I'm just going to be a rebel. Like, be a rebel with a cause. Be a rebel with a cause, you know? Like, be your higher self. Don't just be yourself. Because sometimes, all the times, again, we're here to work, we're here to learn, we're here to do. We're here to grasp, we're here to grow, live, love, laugh, cry, you know? You can't settle on your laurels. You have to check yourself. Check yourself. Are you doing something that you think is right? Would you stand by somebody else if they were enacting the same things that you are doing? Is it just? Is it responsible? Is it right? Am I going to get any repercussions because of this? Like, should I be doing this? Ask yourself these questions. We have to, because it's not okay for us to just like be like, okay, yeah, I'm just doing this thing and it's good. I'm not following no man, no one can tell me nothing, da 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 da. But then you're doing all kinds of buffoonery that it's not gonna help anybody. Let me finish it. You know? So you have to be your higher self. Don't just be yourself. Be your best self. Be the best self you can be. Yeah, get organized. Looking at my space, I am getting much more organized. Actually. I'm quite chuffed about that. But still living, still loving, still learning. So I bid you the same. And yeah, have a good one. Watch out for my